my fellow Americans. This is former President Barack Hussein Obama, and you're listening to the Mad Titan Podcast. Please be sure to support this young brother from Chicago, Jay Washington, because he's a funny bastard. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
I ignored my destiny once. I cannot do that again. Even for you. I'm the only one who knows that. At least I'm the only one with the will to act on it.
The Mad Titan Podcast with your host, Jay Washington.
What's happening, everybody? I'm back, and it's episode 47 of the Mad Titan Podcast with me, your resident supervillain, Mr. Jay Washington. What's going on? A belated Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and most of all, Happy New Year. I know you have not gotten an episode from me in almost a month, and you're like, yo, Jay, what's been going on? Well, first and foremost, let me apologize for that, because I should not have left you all hanging like that. There really hasn't been much news, much to dictate an episode. And I know I said that no matter what, I was going to try to drop something. Well, a lot of things started happening, and if you will indulge your boy for a second, I'll tell y'all. First of all, you know the holidays came up. Like, again, I brought up Thanksgiving. And I'm not the biggest holiday fan. And the reason being is, for those who know me, you know I'm a father, and I don't get the chance. It's hard to not spend it with my kids and me having to deal with that. My son is in Indianapolis, my daughter's in Tacoma, Washington, and I'm here in Los Angeles. And so not having them for the holidays above all is very disheartening, and it hurts very much during the holidays, and just not having them sometimes in general. But you know, I do what I can. It's the reason I work so hard. I work my ass off for them, to provide for them and make sure they have something to stand on. Their moms can provide for them, that I can give, to make sure it eases up the pain and the stress that their moms have, if it makes sense. So, nonetheless, I was very upset, and I was very angry and very frustrated and very just real hostile all week. Not even week, the whole holiday season at first, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to see my kids. I was supposed to have some money coming in, and it didn't come when I thought it was going to come. So it was really, really eating your boy up until, for those who follow me on Facebook and social media, you understand, until Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, I was getting ready to just say, fuck it, I'm going to go to this onesie party thrown by the homies Cody Decker and Jen Decker. And I was just going to go to a onesie Christmas Eve party, call it a day, spend my Christmas at home by myself. And then Winston A. Marshall, the swaggy blurred, who you see on a lot of reviews with me, you know that's like one of my best friends. He is like a brother to me. He calls me on Christmas Eve and asks me, how would I like to go see my son for Christmas? And I'm like, yeah, of course. If I had the funds, I would. He was like, well, my dad wants to gift you with a flight to go see his son for Christmas. And I instantly broke down in tears. I gave a lot of thanks and praise, because if you know, I'm a God-fearing man, and I just was so in tears and praise, and said, yeah, we're gonna get you a flight and get you the room. And I couldn't believe it. And so I had a flight that evening, 12:40 in the morning, and I flew out, and I surprised my son on Christmas Day. And if you follow me on social media, you saw my face, you saw my emotion. And so that changed everything about how I felt. There was a pressure let off my shoulders, and I felt great. And so by that time, we're here at New Year's, and it was like, yo, I hadn't dropped one. I don't want everybody to think I forgot about think about the Mad Titan, excuse me. And it's not been a lot, but I know I should come back and talk about some of the highlights I had for the year with the comic book movies and the TV shows and dropping it. So that's where we at. Here's where we are right now. Happy New Year. I'm back. First and foremost, if you don't know what this show is, I get you caught up in everything that's happening in the Marvel and DC live action and cinematic universes. So basically, this shit is barbershop talk for nerds. So you don't feel like you talking to one of your homeboys. If this is something you've just been introduced to, Let me let you know I'm going to have some fun with y'all. I'm gonna talk some shit. I might like some things. I might not like some things. But guess what? When I tell you what I do and I don't like, I'm going to let you know a reason why. So just so y'all be like, oh, Jay just playing, he don't like shit. Or he just shilling out for something. I hate all that. So let's not even do that. Let's just go like this. It's been a lot. There was 7 comic book movies last year. I'm trying to make sure. I thought I had them all pulled up, but I believe it was 7 comic book movies last year. We didn't have a lot, as much as we kind of thought, 7 or 8. But each one, you got to remember the way this year went. It was 7 exactly. But it was the way this weird year went. You were like, yo, we had this many because it was stuff that was hitting us. If it wasn't a film, it was 7 comic book movies, but only 6 in the realm of what I talk about. But everything was hitting us back to back to back to back to back. We kept having things happening, and so it kept seeming like, yo, every time I look around, it's something. Now, it wasn't just Marvel and DC. The reason I bring it up, because Hellboy is a comic book movie that dropped this year. But we did have Captain Marvel, Shazam, Avengers Endgame, Joker, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Dark Phoenix. Now, you follow me on the social medias, as you already should. You know I gave reviews on all of them. I thought Dark Phoenix was the worst. You know, everybody keeps saying it wasn't that bad. I felt like we didn't need it, which we really didn't. And you can tell a lot of the actors that were in the movies didn't rock with it. Joker, I was one of those people that was like, yo, we don't need an origin story for the Joker. What makes him great is his anonymity, the mystique behind who he is, and what makes him. And like, to get the movie, I think Joaquin Phoenix did a fucking amazing job. And Todd Phillips was great as a director. Now, some people are like, yo, should we get a sequel? There's some people who are like, yo, if the same team stays in place, let's do it. I am of the mind of no. Because now what? You know, people eventually are going to want this to lead into Batman because of seeing Bruce Wayne. Because of us having Thomas Wayne in the movie. Spoiler alert, you ain't seen the shit. But that's that. Avengers Endgame culminated 22 movies, 11 years of storytelling, and it gave you what it should have. There's so many people who tried to find flaws with it here and there, instead of just letting it be what it is. It's a 3-hour movie that has a multitude of stars, a multitude of characters who have to get everything out, who have to be this character, who we have to have their emotional pieces in this story, and the Russo brothers fucking did it. No matter what, they pulled it off. You know what I'm saying? They gave us that. And the story came where some people were mad about the A-Force moment. Some people were mad about other little things. And yeah, there were certain things that are fan service, but guess what? Every movie, no matter what, has fan service. And I know what I said on Twitter about directors shouldn't succumb to it. And when I say that, I mean directors shouldn't succumb to it when they make their entire movie based off that. So that's my thing with that. Captain Marvel, I loved Captain Marvel for what it was. I never had a problem with Captain Marvel. I think Captain Marvel told the story. I don't care about how people feel personally about Brie Larson as an actor or how her stance on things. I like the story. And plus, you give me Samuel L. Jackson in the movie, I'm sold. Plain and simple. And Ben Mendelsohn, I'm good. I rocked with it. Shazam. A lot of people, including myself, didn't know what the hell to expect with Shazam. And I was one of those people back with Bobby Hill when we were doing the Trusty Sidekick podcast talking about, yo, Zachary Levi Shazam, that shit doesn't sound right. It's not going to look right. You got to give Zachary Levi every single steroid that has been ever created. You need to dig up the Macho Man's corpse and exhume whatever steroids he had, as well as the Ultimate Warrior. You need to figure out what all wrestlers past had. The shit that Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa, were all on. They need to have all that because that's the only way you're going to have him big enough to be fucking Shazam. But guess what? It worked. David F. Sandberg gave you some dope shit. The boardroom scene with the murders was the most epic shit I think I've ever seen in a horror movie. I mean, in a comic book movie ever. And again, I love Black Panther nonstop. And I love the Avengers movie. Yes, I know Black Panther's 2018, but god damn it, I love it. So, I had no problem with that. Spider-Man Far From Home, it addressed a lot of issues we had with, it addressed how things would go after the events of Avengers Endgame. It addressed it well. certain little things happen, and everybody's like, well, what? Because, of course, that brought up the big-ass controversy of Spider-Man leaving the MCU and then eventually coming back and Sony and all that. So it was well. X-Men Dark Phoenix, that shit just shouldn't have happened. It really just shouldn't have happened. I think that this was just Fox trying to squeeze one more out. But it's like, yeah, this shouldn't have happened. You could tell, like I said, you could tell the actors didn't want to be there. Now let's go to the TV show side. A lot of shit happened this year. Primarily, the Arrowverse, its original season ended and then it came back because that's how it always goes with the year. So we got the ending of a season and we came back to this new season where everything is built up to this gigantic crossover. The biggest crossover ever, even bigger than Avengers Endgame in a sense, in Crisis on Infinite Earths. And it worked. You know, a lot of people have their flaws here and there, and they're saying why this doesn't happen, why that doesn't happen. And I kept telling people, I did it on the reviews. I did after shows for each episode that has been out so far of Crisis. For 1, 2, and 3, they're all up on the YouTube channel. You can definitely check that out. But you got to remember that when a crossover happens with this show, these shows are, it's one big, show, one big gigantic crossover, 5 parts now in this case. But each episode is still that show and its theme. What I mean, Supergirl's episode is going to be a theme of Supergirl. Batwoman's episode is the theme of Batwoman. The Flash is the Flash. When we get Arrow and the Legends, same thing. But it was dope with that. I love what they did. I love how this season of Arrow, granted, it's been the last, has been a perfect love letter to the show. It is definitely shown up and shown out. Doom Patrol dropped this year. Doom Patrol was fucking amazing. It was surreal what it was going to be. From when you watched it in Titans, which I'll get into as well, you got introduced into Titans and you were like, well, this could be good. And then you watched it and it was something amazing. I still stand by Diane Guerrero for the Emmy. Diane Guerrero as Crazy Jane deserves all the praise in the world for the way she portrayed Crazy Jane and the work she put in on that show. We even got Swamp Thing, which was a major, major disappointment. Swamp Thing should have been so much better. And, people go, well, we heard about the budget cuts and this, that, and third, but also you have the problem that befalls a lot of comic book movies, Marvel and DC, TV show and film, whereas the studio gets involved. And you have that, the studio gets involved, and then it changes some things, and Swamp Thing became more of the Abby Arcane story than the Swamp Thing story, and it gave you this pretty decent ending towards the end where you get Floronic Man, which ain't another season happening, and you're like, fuck. Like, did you want to see where it could have went? Because it started to pick up steam, but then now it's gone. Had a decent cast, but at the same time, it's just like, this isn't the story what you should be telling. If you're going to tell us the story of Abby Arcane, fine. But you want to tell us the story of Alec Holland as Swamp Thing. That's what we need to know. And so that was the issue with that. Titans, it ended and came back this year, and season 2 was way better than season 1. So first and foremost, we could see in season 2. It was lighter. It wasn't super damn dark. That was a big issue I had with season 1. The lighting was never there, and was like, yo, you have a character like Starfire who's been played by a chocolate goddess in Anna Diop, and we can't see her. And a lot of the scene pieces and the set pieces in general, you just can't see because everything is so dark. Like, yo, make it better. But it got a little bit better. Then you had, with Titans, you brought in Bruce Wayne, and you brought in Ian Glenn as Bruce Wayne, and I was like, yo, he looks like more like Alfred. And what they were trying to do, I'm assuming, was give us this Adam West-esque type Bruce Wayne, and I didn't get it. I kind of figured we would never actually see Batman in the series, because we would always talk about him, of course, but we would never see him, because Batman is a $10 million character. Right? That's why you didn't see him in the crossovers of Crisis on Infinite Earths. You will not. And so for people who wonder, when are we going to see Batman? Look, you'll only see Batman in movies and possibly in cartoons like we've been seeing with Harley Quinn, which I'll talk about in a second. Because I know I'm going to have to break my rules Harley Quinn being animated, I definitely will talk about that. Legends of Tomorrow ended the season. I've always been a fan of Legends. I meant to bring that up because it has no rules. It has no rules. And as Legends, you know, people always like, well, it's kind of stupid, it's kooky. That's what it's supposed to be. You know, you have the seriousness you get with Supergirl, Arrow, Flash, Black Lightning, and God knows why for fucking Batwoman. But Legends has fun. And I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. So that was that. But then DC changed the game with one major thing in particular. And that is Watchmen on HBO. Watchmen is a DC product. And Watchmen came through like gangbusters. And Regina King as Angela Abar, aka Sister Knight, was phenomenal. I don't want to spoil it. I know some people are still just now catching up on the series. And I know normally I'm like, yo, spoiler alert. But I think this one, the twist in it, I'm going to let people find out on their own. Now, next episode, I'm talking about shit as it is. So ain't no, you know, holding back on that. Let me talk about Black Lightning. Black Lightning has been a show that I've been a fan of since its inception. I was a fan of many of the cast members before I saw them on screen, as far as I've seen them in other projects. But then I got to this, and it became something close. Now, you know, for those who know me, who rock with me, you know I'm about the culture. You know I'm for black people and us elevating and being more creative of what we have to do and who we are. And I'm not going to take that away from anybody else. I just want to say that. But I definitely stood behind Black Lightning. There was times in the series where it's like, yo, this is not as good as I thought it should be. But I still gave it a chance. And we got to its third season this season. And it was sometimes it was like the stories didn't go where it wanted to go. But we all knew it. Like I brought up every week with on the podcast and even with the reviews, everything was just building towards crisis. But I still rock with this show so heavy. I wish more people watched it. And I'm not just saying we have to watch anything just to watch it. But I know that there are so many people who say we want so much representation on TV and comic books and this, that, and the third. We don't want to give it a shot because it's not going the way we think it should go. And granted, you know, with certain shows, the writers have a big issue say with that. The showrunners have more, and again, the studios. But I believe Black Lightning is something that could be around for another couple seasons. I'm really honored to be considered part of the family when it comes to the cast and crew. Granted, I'm not on the show yet, but I'm honored to be considered part of the cast and crew of that. So I definitely feel you all should watch that, okay? So that was that. Now, Dim Swamp thing. Gotham ended this year, which some people were sad. And I was like, are we? Are we really sad? Gotham ended. Krypton ended, which I really felt sad for because it started to pick up traction. It started to gain momentum, and steam. And just when it started to seem it was rolling, Sci-Fi was like, it's not good. And it's not good enough for their numbers. And also, I think that it plays a major factor that it was on Sci-Fi. I'm of the belief that when you don't have, like, there are certain networks that are known for giving you certain things that are comic book related or TV and film and other things. But when you don't have something that people normally go to for that, again, Sci-Fi is not something people will mainly go for. It changes. However, they decided, you know, it wasn't going to work. And they even canceled the upcoming Lobo series they were going to do. So that changed a lot as well. Pennyworth. Another show that was a prequel that I was like, wait, this is happening? This is for real? The story of how Alfred Pennyworth goes from being a former ASS or ASIS agent to becoming the confidant of Thomas Wayne. And eventually we will know as the man who will help Bruce in his quest to save Gotham. And it actually has been renewed for a second season. I was honored to talk to the cast this year at San Diego Comic-Con. And I'm going to put those interviews. I got to find those interviews. They're in my computer. I have to edit them up, and I'm going to throw them on the Patreon so you all can have them. I don't want to cheat people out of them. I didn't get a chance to upload them. But I want to put that on the Patreon for you all. But we are getting season 2 of Pennyworth. I think that was all the shows that I talked about. Pretty much I went through the whole crossover, you know, how I did get back into Supergirl. I will admit that. I actually got back into it. It was pretty cool. Yeah, what was that? Harley Quinn. Now, I normally do not talk about cartoon shows, you know, because cartoon shows can be way too many. But Harley Quinn became something that I could not fucking believe. Winston and I have been doing a review on it every single week, and it has been fucking amazing, for lack of better words. Pardon, you know, if you get a little upset, like, oh, why are you cussing so much? Because that's how the fuck I feel. I didn't know what Kaley Cuoco was going to do, because we all know Harley Quinn. We know the voice is Tara Strong. Everybody held on to that. But you hear Kaley Cuoco, and she is phenomenal. And I believe her name is Lacey Bell, who's doing Poison Ivy. You got J.B. Smoove as Frank the Plant. You got Alan Tudyk. You got such an amazing cast. And every week, this show will make you fucking cry laughing. If you have not seen it yet on DC Universe, again, highly recommend you check it out. So, I know it's just me, so I figured I said how I feel about the shows and movies, TV shows and movies for 2019. Now, I did have a few stories I did want to kind of talk about. I just realized. Now, I didn't get a chance to tell you this, but Marvel Television, as we knew it, had officially shut down with all its remaining projects folding into Marvel Studios. We know Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is done. Ghost Rider was canceled. Runaways canceled. Hellstrom is still supposed to happen as of now. And the animated shows that were going to Hulu are still happening, but they're still going to be part of Marvel Studios. They're going to be part of Marvel Studios now. So, I know some people feel like it's monopolizing, but it's the way that this way Marvel and Kevin Feige want to control the story in a good way, where you have one cohesive story going through, and you can't really be upset about that. I don't think you should, but we will see what happens. Another thing I didn't get a chance to come on here talking about was Kumail Nanjiani breaking the damn internet. And if you don't know who Kumail Nanjiani is, a comedian. Him and his wife Emily Gordon, they wrote The Big Sick. And he has been an actor. You've seen him in the most recent movie Stuber this year with Dave Bautista. Well, he will also be in the Eternals that drops this year. And he showed a picture of himself on the internet, jacked the fuck up. But he said something that was great to hear in that. And it was him saying, I got like this, you know, I want to thank the greatest nutritionists in the world and the greatest personal trainers in the world. And that's because it's paid by the biggest studio in the world. And that is a big thing. That's a very big thing, because, you know, a lot of people are like, some people don't want to admit that's what happens. They just say, oh, I just trained hard myself to get ready for this role. But the fact that, no, you trained, yes, but it was with the assistance of some major funding behind you. Nonetheless, congratulations to him. I can't wait to see him in the Eternals. Another thing that did happen was Wakanda. When I say Wakanda, I mean Wakanda, the fictional nation of Wakanda from Marvel. It was recently listed as a trade partner by the U.S. government. Now, yeah, I could go really political on this and tell you my feelings on that, and I could do all that. But I'm just going to go as far and tell y'all that is bullshit that you listed a fictional nation as a trade partner because people talked about it that much, so you thought it was real. Nobody did any research. That shit is fucking hysterical. So, that's what that is. In a little bit of DC news, I forgot to tell y'all, The Flash officially has a release date, and it is definitely happening. It will drop July 1st, 2022. And yes, it is Ezra Miller. It still has The Flash. I know some things, so yes, it's happening. Wait till you see that. All right. Let's see. Do I have anything in the email? So you already know I do the Mad Titan Podcast hotline, where you can call in 818-276-6947, 818-276-6947, And go ahead and leave your calls. And you can email me at madtitanpodcast@gmail.com. madtitanpodcast@gmail.com. I do have an email here. It's from Joe Zantak, and it's about Batwoman Season 2. He says, "Hey Jay, Joey from Philly area here to talk about Batwoman. Obviously, I agree. I don't love Batwoman. I'm not even sure I like it. I like Alice because her overacting feels accurate for a rogue that exists in Gotham City, and I wish more of the characters were outlandish as her. Though she should have been arrested by now, like easily, for real. That said, you mentioned it's likely going to get a Season 2. The question I have is, what is the likelihood hope that Season 2 of Batwoman ends up being like Season 2 of Legends Tomorrow? Season 1 of Legends Tomorrow was also very, very bad. Lots of bad acting and writing. A huge cast and tone change, and the show quickly became my favorite CW show because it's one show that embraces the silliness of superheroes and time travel nonsense. I can hope, but none of us can predict what will happen. Keep up the great work." First of all, thank you, Joe, for the email. The question of will they change the writers and do like a different actor swap out? I believe you're going to have to. I don't know if you can constantly keep Rachel Scarsden as Alice going year after year after year as your villain, because it's going to get very, very stale. I understand you're introducing a lot of other villains. You've introduced Hush and others, but I don't think that you can. I think this show has set itself a standard of what it's going to be. And because of that, you are going to have the same type of show. And it also goes to the actors themselves. And because these actors that we have are the core actors, remember that. So when I say the actors themselves, I'm more so talking about Ruby Rose. Ruby Rose has to want to be in this movie. On this TV show. Ruby Rose has to want to be this hero. And it's also weird because Ruby Rose works as Batwoman in small doses. She works as a supporting character. Think about it. Look when you saw her first in Elseworld. Look at her now in Crisis. She works as a supporting character. When you put her at the forefront having to carry a show, that becomes the issue. Like, that don't seem like it works. Alright? So, hopefully, Joe, that answers your question. However, I do have a call here on the hotline. So, we're going to go to the call right now.
Jay, what's up? It's your boy Milton from Pennsylvania. Another resident supervillain status all day. Hey, real quick, why aren't people talking about Black Lightning enough? I feel like it's one of the shows that gets no love when it comes to the mainstream. You know, like people say in the wrestling business, you know, I think after this crossover, it's going to get a little bit of that rub. And I think that, you know, if they use Jefferson Pierce right in the crossover, I feel like more eyes will be on the TV show. Besides the heart, the humor, and the storytelling and the action of the show, I feel like, you know, the music don't get a lot of love at all, man. Like, the music in that show is used better than I can think of in any show on TV right now. Like, it's got that old school, soulful boom bap sound to it. It's fresh. It makes the show fresh. It makes the show feel good. And, you know, it gives a lot of character. But, again, my main question is, how come Black Lightning don't get a lot of love? I mean, I think that show deserves more love, more eyes on it. Again, I'm hoping after the crossover of Crisis on Infinite Earths, it gets some of that rub that we say in the wrestling business. So I appreciate it. Hope you answer my question, man. Peace.
All right, thank you, Milton, for your call. Why doesn't Black Lightning get much love? I just was talking about that. This is a very underrated show. And you bring up a great point. The music is used flawlessly in this show. The different ones they do, they will, you know, I've heard Sade they will use legendary artists, and it will mean so much to the moment that it is. And I don't understand why. I agree again, that yeah, after this crossover, it definitely will help boost the ratings, because the last episode of Black Lightning before the crossover was the highest rated episode ever, because people wanted to see how it tied in. Granted, there are some issues with that episode itself, and I know why, but I won't get fully into that. But people watched it. So now, after seeing what Jefferson has done thus far, and possibly when coming back from the crossover, we definitely will see more people having eyes on it. The thing will be, can the show keep up with the eyes that are on it? Can the show make sure those new eyes that begun watching this product stay watching this product. That's the biggest thing. That's the big thing that we want. So hopefully to see so, man. And again, I thank you, appreciate your call. The supervillain status all day, every day, baby. If you don't know what that is so my workouts, excuse me. I put supervillain status on everything, busting my ass in the gym, and so that is a motto, a creed of sorts I live by, and so I always do that. And so people who pick up on it, I had a couple supervillain status shirts. I actually think I accidentally got rid of one, and it sucks. It was one of my good shirts. Excuse me. Shouts out to Zone 10 Customs who makes my shirts, and I lost the shirt. It fucking sucks, but nonetheless, I'll hopefully get another one back. But anyway. That's it, and that's all I got for this brand new year, new episode 47 of the Mad Titan Podcast. Thank you to everybody who's been rocking with me. I apologize again. I apologize immensely for the delay. I am sorry that I have not had this episode out. I am sorry that I felt like I was neglecting you all, trying to deal with my own bullshit and my emotions. I apologize for that. Just know that in 2020, I am going to be better with making sure you guys get all this work, all this content. I'm going to be busting my ass on so much, just so you know. I've got a lot of great things coming, stand-up wise, acting wise, hosting wise, and more. And so I'm still always going to be here. Mad Titan Podcast is my heart. Mad Titan Podcast is what I love to do. This is how I love to connect with y'all. My kid, my 16-year-old, has his friends tell him how much they like my joint. So it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me, and you all mean the most to me, and I'm grateful for you all. Thank you so much with that. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington. That's MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington, all right? Make sure you join the Patreon, the Supervillain Squad, patreon.com/Mr. J Washington. Like I said, I'm putting up the interviews from Pennyworth, from San Diego Comic-Con, and so much more are going up there, so you will see that. But again, to the members of the squad already, I thank you. I thank you eternally. Adelia Chamberlain, Akeem J. Brown, AZ Badfish, Brandon Buckingham, California Joe, Kasi Nachalobe, David Adams, DJ Snack, Greg Morrissey, Hank Staley, James Smart, Jeffrey Chadorn, Jim Mason, John Mariano, LK, Marcus Kennedy, Marcus Burton, Mikey Lito, Paisley Darts, Randy Constance, Rudy Rueda, Steve Tozen, and the Prince That Wasn't Promised. You all mean the world to me, being supporters, and I thank you all immensely more than you know, alright? Make sure, like I said, you're checking out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/JAY Washington 80. I got a bunch of reviews up there. I just reviewed Cats. Oh, you want to hear about that shit. Myself and Winston A. Marshall, when we do reviews for Harley Quinn, we reviewed Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. It's on there also. So please go check that out, okay? I will holler at you guys next week. I hope you kicked off 2020 with a bang. You are here. You are healthy. And let's rock it and make it do what it do. All right? Holler at y'all later. I'm out of here. Peace.